Think of dangerous beasts and what comes to mind? Sharks? Crocodiles? Clowns? Well, believe it or not, man's best friend tops the list. Yep, dogs are the fourth deadliest species on the planet and are responsible for a staggering 35,000 fatalities worldwide per year. And to no one's surprise, humans have bred some to be more dangerous than others, purely for their own gains. So from brutish bulldogs to destructive Dobermans, these are some of the most aggressive guard dogs in the world. Well, hello there, cutie. Oh, sorry, I wasn't talking to you, I was talking to him. He's soft, cuddly, and irresistible. He's my perfect real-life copy, and you can take him home. Bartholomew Egbert Amazed is now available in all his fluffy glory. You've all been asking, so we finally made it. We have a plushie you can purchase. But hurry up though, because we only made 500 of them. You might also want to check out our amazing array of other products in our store, where you'll find premium quality t-shirts and hoodies with mind-blowing designs, super fun holographic stickers, and mugs to inject an extra dose of amazement into your caffeine kicks. And keep your eyes peeled, because we'll be adding new exciting products frequently. All items are designed with love by us, and every purchase you make directly funds what we do here on this channel. Join the Be Amazed community and look cool while doing it. Ravenous Rotties. Let's start with a truly pawsome gladiator of a dog. A little over 2,000 years ago, Roman soldiers were marching through northern Europe like they owned the place. I guess they had a lot of gall. Joke for the history buffs out there. Anyway, accompanying the troops was the Roman Mastiff, also known as the Molossus, a legendarily muscular dog used for farming and battle. The Romans' campaign path led through what is now Rottweil in southwest Germany. As the centurions passed, many of these massive mastiffs were left behind and then adopted by the locals. The mastiffs got to know the local country sheepdogs intimately, and the Rottweiler was born. Modern Rottweilers are considered large, strong dogs measuring 27 inches and weighing up to 110 pounds. That's 6 times heavier than smaller dogs like Dachshunds. Its spectacular size means a specially trained dog can pull about 1,000 pounds, with several sources stating that bigger specimens can pull some 15,000 pounds, which is roughly 4 times the weight of a typical car. Okay, that sounds fake. But considering Rottweilers were used in their native homeland to haul carts, that doesn't sound entirely unreasonable. Alongside hauling, they were also trained to herd and guard, which is an instinct many still carry. Look at this dog's protective instinct kick in when a clueless coyote wanders into its owner's yard.
Ollie! Oliver!
Oh, that was tense. But that Rottweiler stood its ground. Now the breed's popularity really peaked in the 1990s. However, demand for Rottweilers led to bumbling breeders producing puppies with no regard for the dog's health or temperament. And it's fair to say that these dogs can be a bit overprotective at times.
Oh, we do. Mama, we just got it. I have one more. One more? Yeah. Zena! 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 Sorry.
All joking aside, this reckless behavior has come at a cost. Between 2005 to 2017, Rottweiler attacks were responsible for 45 fatalities, accounting for 10.4% of all fatal dog attacks in the U.S. in that period. If that wasn't bad enough, there was a total of 666 reported Rottweiler attacks from 1982 to 2021. Talk about ominous. Bad publicity and unprepared owners have all resulted in the dog's unfair reputation, with some believing the popular misconception that the breed was once used to fight. With proper care and training, a Rottweiler can be as gentle as a kitten. So less R and more oh. Miss American Die. Everyone always thinks of me as this round, friendly guy, but that's not how I want to be known. I want to be seen as an edgy bad boy. Unfortunately for me, it's hard to earn that reputation when you make YouTube videos about tasty snacks and cute baby animals for a living. You know who does have a bad reputation? The American Pit Bull Terrier. Pit bulls are brawny dogs measuring in at around 22 inches tall at the shoulder and can weigh up to 80 or even 90 pounds. These canines' negative reputation precedes it, with the pit bull being banned in numerous countries around the world, including the UK, Russia, and Spain. This is because many believe these dogs to be dangerous and untrainable, with some going so far as to argue pit bulls are uncontrollable beasts that eat babies. It isn't like this reputation is unearned, however. From 1982 to 2021, American pit bulls were accountable for 7,772 attacks, 5,331 maulings, and 561 fatalities in North America alone. This means pit bulls make up 65.6% of all fatal dog attacks. Between 2005 and 2017 alone, pit bulls racked up a horrifying 284 fatalities. Jeez. How can one dog be so dangerous, though? Well, the breed has a long history of being deliberately mistreated by owners who purposefully make them more aggressive. While this may turn them into formidable guard dogs, it's incredibly cruel and has made people fearful of the poor pooch, and has negatively impacted other dogs too. You see, back in the 80s and 90s, pit bulls were selectively bred with bulldogs to create a whole new breed of guard dog, the American Bully. And no, I'm not talking about Regina George. Bullies resemble their pit bull progenitors, but with a seriously pumped up frame. Bullies can weigh around 130 pounds, which makes them twice as heavy as other large breeds like the Dalmatian, and almost the same weight as an average 5'4" woman. Sadly, the selective breeding required to reach this staggering state is often at the expense of the dog's health, as some bullies can barely move under the weight of their own muscle. Funnily enough, in recent years, the American Bully has gained popularity in Britain. Not so funny is the fact that 2022 turned out to be the deadliest year ever for fatal dog attacks in the UK. 10 lives were claimed, with American Bullies responsible for 6 of them. But remember, a dog reflects its master, and personally, I don't think any of those masters deserved those dogs. Barbarous Belgians. Seeing people accomplish impressive things always makes me wonder, what have I done with my life? But seeing a dog outshine me, that's a new low. This is the Belgian Shepherd, and it's a fearsome overachiever. Able to reach 26 inches tall and weigh up to 66 pounds, these dogs are quick and athletic and capable of jumping 6 to 8 feet in the air. They're also intelligent, watchful, and wary. Okay, so the complete opposite of me. Belgian Shepherds were originally bred by farmers to herd sheep and guard against wolves. No wonder they're tough. Over time, though, 4 distinct varieties emerged: Groenendael, Tervuren, Malinois, and Lacanois. These dogs are so impressive they've been employed by New York City police since 1908 and are used by the FBI to help guard the White House to this day. Like people, however, Belgian Shepherds aren't perfect. In America and Canada, the Malinois variety were responsible for 7 attacks between 1982 and 2021. One story of a well-utilized Belgian Shepherd comes from Kruger National Park in South Africa, where a dog called K9 Killer lived. K9 was used by Kruger Park's Special Operations Team to sniff out and catch armed poachers trying to kill rhinos for their horns. Due to the courage and dedication of the Belgian Shepherd, 115 of these criminals were apprehended. For his efforts, K9 was awarded the PDSA Gold Medal in January 2016. Man, even with my whole life ahead of me, I doubt I'll ever outdo this fantastic Fido. You know what you can do that a Malinois can't, though? Click those like and subscribe buttons. As smart as these dogs clearly are, they haven't learned how to do that yet. Okay, before someone inevitably teaches them how, let's move on. Doberman Slaughter. Were you ever picked on by mean kids? I sure was. Last month was hard for me. Maybe I should engineer my own attack dog. That's what tax collector Louis Doberman did in the town of Apolda in modern-day Germany during the 19th century. Being a tax collector, Doberman wasn't the most popular dude, and the fact that he walked around town carrying everyone's money made him an easy target for muggers. Talk about going through a woof patch. Doberman decided he needed protection, and luckily, he happened to be a part-time dog catcher. So Doberman bred a ferocious-looking super dog from what he'd caught. The final product? A Chihuahua! Nah, it was the Doberman, of course. Standing up to 28 inches at the shoulder and weighing up to 88 pounds, these dogs had the combination of toughness, speed, and ferocity that the tax collector wanted. Even after Louis Doberman's death in 1894, his breed lived on. The Doberman's selectively bred trait of aggression hasn't waned since the 1800s either. Between 1982 and 2021, the dogs were responsible for 23 attacks in the USA and Canada, 8 of which were fatal. While grim, it's no surprise considering the canine's well-developed teeth. When catching an animal, the dog's front incisors will hold it in place whilst the canines, or fangs, finish it off. Good luck escaping, too. A Doberman's bite force measures in between 245 and 300 psi. For reference, the average dog bite is between 230 and 250 psi, so the Doberman is packing some extra crunch power. Their jaws are so powerful, their molars have the capacity to crunch bone, so nothing goes to waste when they're eating. And they look straight up terrifying when they snarl. Just kidding, the Doberman on the left is wearing a creepy muzzle, and the Hungarian Muddy on the right there is carrying a pine cone, so nothing to worry about. Takeda Inu. If you take a trip to the snowy peaks of Japan's Tohoku region, you may come across the Matagi people, and they'll probably ask you how you decided on such a specific vacation spot. The resilient Matagi have called this treacherous land their home for centuries, but because grocery stores are a little hard to come by in the mountains, the Matagi forage from the land around them. Hunters trek into the wilderness for game such as wild boars, deer, and bears? Wait, how do they take down literal bears? Well, about 1,000 years ago, these hardy hunters bred the formidable Matagi Inu to help them bring down dangerous prey and protect them from these massive beasts. Fast forward to the Tokugawa era in the 1600s, where Japanese nobility continued to develop the Matagi breed, giving rise to the modern Akita. The aristocracy used the Akita as an imposing guard dog and hunting companion. Today, Akitas may look like cuddly woodly puppies, but remember, these things were bred to bring down bears. Akitas typically measure 28 inches at the shoulder and weigh around 110 pounds. However, true to stereotypes, on average, the American variant of Akita weighs around 30 pounds more than their Japanese sibling. This difference came about when U.S. soldiers returned home from Japan bringing along these robust rovers. Through crossbreeding with several other dog species, the American Akita emerged, a larger canine build with a bigger, squarer head. Regardless of the dog's nationality, Akitas are still fearless fightos that won't back down from a fight. Unfortunately, this instinct has resulted in 8 fatalities being attributed to the Akita in the USA from 1982 to 2013. One reason it's so dangerous is that their bite is more severe than other dogs. The scissor-shaped jaw of the Akita makes it hard to force open once the dog bites down, meaning the dog must often voluntarily decide to release its victim, which doesn't always happen. Maybe I won't take that trip to the Tohoku region. Just in case I'm mistaken for a bear. Alibi. Have you ever seen those survival documentaries where a guy gets dropped off in the middle of nowhere and somehow has to survive? I don't think I'd even survive being dropped off, but let me tell you about one dog that could give Bear Grylls a run for his money. The Alibi. This noble hound is also known as the Central Asian Shepherd Dog, or by the incredibly cool name, Wolf Crusher. Yeah, really. With a name like that, do I even need to go on? Don't worry, I will anyway. These colossal canines are one of the oldest dog breeds in the world today, with a genealogy that dates back over 5,000 years. Hailing from a territory spanning the Caspian Sea to China and southern Ural to Afghanistan, these dogs weren't bred by humans, but are a product of natural selection. The breed was used by the nomadic people of Central Asia to guard livestock from thieves and wild animals. Chasing bears? That's one tenacious puppy. Alibis aren't the only big boys in their family, though. They're closely related to the equally terrifying Tibetan Mastiff. Yikes! Being raised in such harsh terrain has made the Alibi well suited to extreme climates. Whether it's sweltering heat or brutal cold, this ancient pooch can handle it. Standing some 28 inches at the shoulder and weighing in at 110 pounds, these dogs make for intimidating protectors. They're loyal defenders of their families, but their territorial nature makes them tricky to train. Additionally, their instincts make them highly suspicious of strangers. This mix of traits makes them effective, if highly dangerous, guard dogs. Despite there never being a reported instance of an attack, the breed is banned in Denmark. That's how scared the Danish are of this loyal dog. These dogs would make awesome assassins. Once they take out an enemy of yours and the cops come calling, you can just tell them, "Sorry, officer, I have an alibi." Snapping at the healers. Pineapple on pizza, fried chicken and waffles, olive oil and ice cream. These are all bizarre combinations that some people swear by, but to me they all seem a little eccentric. Still, those combinations have nothing on the Hall Healer, which is a mix between a wild dingo and sheepdog. This mad breed is the creation of one man, Thomas Hall, a farmer who lived in 19th century Queensland, Australia. Oh, Australia? Now it makes sense. Hall wanted a dog tough enough to herd cattle under the cruel Australian sun. His English sheepdogs weren't cutting the mustard, quickly growing tired in the heat. So Hall took some dingoes he had tamed because he was clearly a psychopath, and then bred them with his sheepdogs. The hybrid was called a Hall Healer and is the ancestor of the modern-day Australian cattle dog. Australian cattle dogs, also known as healers because they nip at the heels of cattle, stand some 20 inches tall and only weigh around 44 pounds. They're not as big and bulky as other dogs we've met, but what they lack in mass they make up for in grit and intelligence. With a natural tendency to bite, healers make vigilant guards, but if not properly trained, can become bored. When understimulated, these dogs can act out, becoming destructive and dangerous. From 1982 to 2021, these dogs were responsible for 32 attacks in the USA and Canada. I have some pretty snappy coworkers at Be Amazed HQ. Maybe they've got some dingo blood in them, too. Slobbering sumo. You've heard of sumo wrestling? Two big guys step into a little ring, then wrestle like crazy. Classic entertainment, right? But did you know dogs can be sumo wrestlers too? But surely a dog playing sports is against the rules.
Ain't no rules so the dog can't play basketball.
Meet the Tosa Inu, a Japanese fighting dog with a history as fiery as its spirit. Originating from Tosa, this breed was developed 150 years ago and then soared in popularity in the 1920s, which was, not coincidentally, also the peak of dog fighting's popularity in the country. Native dogs were combined with Mastiffs, Bulldogs, St. Bernards, and Great Danes to eventually create a hulking dog, 26 inches tall and with a weight of up to 200 pounds. That's 4 times the weight of a golden retriever or the average weight of a 6'3" man. As you can imagine, this made the breed quite an intimidating fighter. While dogfighting has been banned in many countries, it continues in certain areas of Japan despite concerns from animal rights groups. Owning a prize-fighting dog can be incredibly lucrative, with champions fetching 6-figure prices for their breeding potential. Just look at this warrior receiving his reward. I think that's what's happening anyway. All this has earned Tosa's the nickname of the sumo dog. Now, I'm not endorsing dogfighting, but sanctioned Japanese dogfights are different from illegal fights in the West. The goal of a Japanese dogfight is not for the dogs to hurt each other, but for one dog to pin the other down without injuring its opponent. Vets are always on standby to halt the fight if they notice any sign of injury. The audience aren't allowed to bet either. Despite these measures, though, Tosas are still bred to be fighters, which means they don't tend to get on with their own kind. Despite there being no reported attacks linked to them, Tosas have been banned in several countries, including the UK, Ireland, Germany, Australia, and New Zealand. However, in places where they remain legal, Tosas are utilized as formidable guard dogs, drawing on their combative instincts. If I ever took up sumo wrestling, and believe me, I've got the physique, there's no way I'd want to clash with these canines. Brasilero Assassino. Let's take our minds back to 17th century Brazil. An easy task we all perform constantly, I'm sure. In 17th century Brazil, plantation owners faced a problem. Their livestock was being preyed upon by jaguars and other predators. So they did what every person featured in this video so far did. They engineered a super dog fit for the job. Born from a mix of bulldogs, mastiffs, and bloodhounds, the Fila Brasileiro is a formidable force. Standing at a beastly 30 inches at the shoulder, weighing up to 110 pounds and running at speeds of 35 miles per hour, these powerful canines are perfect for chasing big cats. However, that was only the beginning of this breed's trouble story. You see, filar derives from Portuguese meaning to hold or to grab, and the dogs got that name for a very unfortunate reason. During the 17th century, slavery was still very much legal in Brazil, and if a slave escaped from their plantation, felas were released to pursue and apprehend them. The fila has a bite force of over 400 psi, which zooms past most dogs and into wolf bite territory. Unsurprisingly, the aggressive and domineering nature hammered into them has been hard to shake. The dog has been banned in numerous countries, including the UK, and you'd think these stats would have put Brazilians off the dogs, but they're wild about them. The fila's loyalty towards its owners has led to the Brazilian saying of being as faithful as a fila. However, this loving disposition doesn't extend to strangers. Filas hate being touched by people they're unfamiliar with. With that inbuilt hunting instinct, the dogs don't sit well with other pets such as cats or even smaller pups. Jeez. So if you like your hands attached to your arms, I suggest resisting the urge to pet these pooches. Boer Brute. Imagine you're a diamond mining company and you need something to protect your prized gems. What are you going to do? Install cameras? Hire security guards? Boring. How about the Boer Bull? Now you're talking. These impressive dogs stand 28 inches tall and can weigh a whopping 200 pounds, so both taller and heavier than a keg of beer. The breed's beginnings start in South Africa, where the Boers, descendant of Dutch settlers, were toiling away on their farms. In case you thought farming in the cruel South African sun was too easy, the Boers also had to contend with an entire ecosystem's worth of hungry predators eyeing up their livestock. I'm talking jackals, lions, hyenas, some real nasty customers. To put an end to those pesky predators, the Boers employed guard dogs to defend their herds, and they needed specialists. Only the toughest dog could survive the harsh climate, and only the fiercest could scare off these enormous predators. The word Boer Bull comes from the Afrikaans word for farmer's dog, which makes sense. It's not known exactly what breeds made up these great big cocktails, but they were fierce. They're likely a mix of mutts brought from Europe by settlers who then interbred with indigenous domestic dogs. The settlers' dogs, that is. Not the settlers, they weren't that desperate for more guard dogs. The De Beers Diamond Company later imported bull mastiffs from Britain to guard their mines from thieves, which also contributed to Boer Bull's DNA. Eventually, De Beers would notice the Boer Bull's prowess and adopt him as their diamond guarding dog of choice. These days, it is rare to see the South African beast outside of, well, South Africa. Despite their rough employment, Boer Bulls are very protective of their owners and are known to be affectionate with children. The same strength and territorial instinct that helped them protect farms and mines makes them superb guard dogs. That being said, the dogs require a confident, dominant handler. That rules me out then. Guess we'll have to go back to using Chihuahuas to protect the BMA's diamond play button. Caucasian Killer. If you ever wind up in a Russian prison, well, you're definitely having a worse day than me. But in addition to the rough necks, cramped living quarters, and limited flavors of gruel, you also have to watch out for the guard dogs. Meet the Caucasian Ovcharka, known as the Caucasian Sheepdog. These Russian dogs typically stand up to 30 inches tall and weigh around 154 pounds, so they can get much bigger. Take Catabomb's Hater, for instance, the largest in the world. Hater is 6 feet long and weighs over 240 pounds. Looking at this guy, you won't be surprised to hear the breed was once used to fend off predators. The bulky brutes have been around for over 2,000 years, originating from the Caucasus Mountain region. Farmers use them to guard their sheep, fending off bears and wolves. The high altitude's cold temperatures made the dogs incredibly fluffy, but don't let that disarm you. These bruisers' guarding skills have been utilized throughout the centuries, guarding farms, prisons, and even patrolling the Berlin Wall in East Germany during the 1960s. Now let's talk bite force. Humans have a bite force of around 162 psi, which isn't too shabby, but what about the Ovcharka? Well, their bite force is 700 psi. Not only is that greater than any other dog we've looked at so far, but it's also more than twice as powerful as a leopard, measuring in at a measly 300 psi. Talk about a jaw-dropping difference. While these dogs excel at security, they're ill-suited to life as a family pet. They can alternatingly be aloof and aggressive with strangers and can become especially hyper when dopes leave them chained up outside. I mean, I wouldn't like that either. I know these guys have an unpredictable temper and a crazy strong bite, but they're so fluffy, I still want to pet one. Though maybe it's wise I keep a safe distance if I do. Raging Bulldog. Back in 15th century Britain, the now extinct Old English Bulldog was used for the barbaric sport of bull baiting. This was the practice of forcing dogs to battle fully grown bulls for the amusement of gamblers and onlookers. Dogs would grab onto a tethered bull's nose and try not to let go until either the bull had been dragged to the ground or the dog perished trying. Despite being dwarfed by its opponent, an 80-pound bulldog could topple an adult bull by grabbing on and corkscrewing its body around, flipping it over its own center of gravity. It was a cruel and brutal spectacle. Thankfully, the UK banned bull baiting in 1835. After the ban, modern bulldog breeds began to emerge, notably the French and British bulldogs, which many find cute, but which suffer numerous health problems due to their squashed faces and resulting constricted airways. A little later, their cousin, the American Bulldog, emerged after British immigrants arrived in the American South. These settlers actually brought their bulldogs with them for farming. Ranchers bred the dog to be bigger and stronger than their ancestors and used them for guarding animals and hunting down feral pigs. By the 1960s, the American Bulldog we know today was fully developed. At 28 inches tall with a weight of up to 120 pounds, the American Bulldog is a stocky, powerful character able to jump up to 7 feet into the air. Though they can make a loving family pet, centuries of bull baiting and guarding have left their toll on the breed. American Bulldogs can be territorial and, like all dogs we've discussed, aren't keen on strangers. They can be really mean fighters too. Just look at this bulldog chew on this dude's leg. Maybe it ate that other dude's shirt too. Between 2005 and 2017, American Bulldogs were responsible for 15 kills in the USA, accounting for 3.5% of all fatal dog attacks in that period. Though it's easy to blame the breed's troubled history, it's important to remember that any dog can be aggressive if it's mistreated or abused. Cruelty doesn't create effective guard dogs, it creates monsters. Well, it looks like we've come to the end of our walkies. What was your favorite guard dog? Any you're especially scared of? Let me know in the comments below, and as usual, like and subscribe for more amazing content. Thanks for watching.